Welcome back to another episode of Boys Love, Boys Love. This week we are recapping My Personal Weatherman.
In its entirety. The full girl.
Full girl, all eight eps.
All 8 eps.
All 8 episodes.
All 8 inch.
Okay.
Why are we recapping the show, Adam?
So we're recapping the show because our Bob level on Patreon voted for this show to be the one that we watched together.
Mm-hmm.
So we all watched it. You had actually already seen the show.
Yes, I had seen this on my own private viewing in my room.
I don't want to know about that.
Alone.
I don't want to know what that means.
There are no others in the room
Okay.
with the door closed
Uh-huh.
and locked.
And this was my first time
This
watching
was your first
it.
time watching it.
And I
Was
showered
horrified
after every
Yeah,
episode.
horrified that people chose filth and then to like force us to watch it on like recorded video.
Do you think I'm going to be able to hold this umbrella the whole time? I'm kind of
Try,
curious if I
yeah.
can do it. Okay. Okay, so My Personal Weatherman is from Japan. It is based on a manga of the same name.
And I did read it. I think after the first 2 episodes, I was like, let me go online and quickly read the webtoon.
Okay.
And I did.
So this aired from August to October of 2 years ago now, 2023. It is 8 episodes. Each episode is about 24 minutes long.
Short and sweet.
And so we blew
Very
through this
sweet.
in 4
very
weeks.
sweet show.
Oh, so when I think of sweet shows, I think this
Fluff.
is sweeter. It's fluff.
Well,
Somebody was fluffed.
somebody was fluffing. Huh.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a fluffer, but
Happy to
happy to help
assist.
next time.
Yeah.
Yes, for the sequel.
So this stars 4 people. Segasaki Mizuki, who is played by Higuchi Kouhei.
Kohei. Very good.
Tanada Yo is played by Mashiko Atsuki, who is in a co-ed J-pop group.
Yes.
Called Genial? Genia?
You know who he trained with?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yuma?
Yes.
From Antine?
Yes. And I'm sure he gave Yuma a call and was like, hey, my new show is up. I think you and your friends may like it.
Oh, great. Manju, who is Yo's friend, Tanada's friend, who is also a manga artist, is played by Matsumura Sayuri. Okay?
Okay.
And then her husband is played by Mizushi Atomu.
Okay. So Manju and Manju's husband.
Manju's husband. Quickly, why don't you give us a synopsis?
Yeah, why don't you synopsis? So
You've seen it twice.
Yeah. We start right in the middle of just like daily life of Yo, who is a erotic manga artist. Or are you gonna act out?
Sorry, yeah. Yeah.
And you find out that he is obsessed
This is me shaking.
with watching this what it looks like a YouTube program of the weather.
Yeah, it's like a weather app.
It's like a weather app or like a weather channel on YouTube that does like a 20-minute segment every day.
I think it's like longer than that.
No, I think it's short because he says
He
that
just
he just
rewatches
watches
it
it over and over again all
God,
day.
What a broken person.
And he does this he watches this and draws. And like the thing that comes up with his artistic abilities is that he keeps drawing the men the same.
Yes, very similar to this
weatherman. And he's on his phone with his fellow artist Manju, who is like obsessed with the weatherman. Like you find out later that she's like a fan. She has like the pickets and like the standees and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the first episode, after like 4 or 5 minutes, you see someone coming home. And bing bang bong, sing sang song. It is the weatherman. Yeah, ding dang dong.
It's
honey.
Mizuki.
It's Mizuki. It is the weatherman, and he comes in in a completely different energy than what his persona is on screen, where he's like, hello, congenial, smiling. And he comes home and he just opens the door and says, I'm home. I'm hungry.
Cook.
Cook.
Cook, clean soup.
Clean your loom.
Clean your loom. Clean my loom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just very, I would say maybe like a dominant type of behavior.
One could say.
One
could use that specific term.
That he just gives like a very dominant aura.
Aura.
At home.
An alpha energy.
Yeah, almost. And he gets up and he starts cooking, he starts cleaning it, and it's very command, do it, and he just does it. And a lot of the show is very introspective. There's a lot of voiceover, and the voiceover is like a lot of voiceover. And a lot of the voiceover from Yo is very much like, I can't help myself. Why do I do these things for him? Blah, 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 blah.
He's such a jerk.
He doesn't even care about me. Da, 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 da. But I can't help but look at him all day and cook clean soup for him.
That's not all he's cooking.
But there is clean. There is clean.
Oh, I can't even hide behind this. This is transparent.
I can still see you. They show a little flashback of like why is like so powerless when it comes to him, and they show a flashback of them full post-coital, drenched. The forecast was wet, honey.
I'm gonna throw up.
Outside and inside.
Crazy. I can't. The insane part is that we are doing a recap of
this. We're trying to recap this.
We're trying to analyze this piece as art. Which I do think it does have artistic merit.
Yes, absolutely.
I think this is actually very good.
Yeah, it's a very good show. And there's like you basically see that the relationship, whatever this is, this agreement is also sexual, is that they have sex as well. He does
anything he asks.
Anything he asks. And then in flashbacks, in pieces, you see that there was an agreement that they made. It's actually the cold open of the show, is that let's choose to live together.
Let's all go to the movie lobby.
You can draw all day. You can just be your little manga artist, and you can live in my place for free. In exchange, you just have to do everything I say.
Yeah.
So it immediately starts you off that like, okay, there is a dominant and submissive relationship that we are seeing play out.
Correct.
And then the show basically just goes into solving the miscommunications throughout their life. In order to just like come to the conclusion that, we actually have feelings for one another. This is actually based on, I care for this other person, and this agreement actually comes from a place of like, I actually like you and like spending time with you, and I just want to be with you.
Yeah.
And not just an agreement.
Yeah.
So we go through the twists and turns, the snakes and ladders, the rainy days and the sunny days.
Yeah.
And boy, when the days are sunny, the sheets are wet. Which is a plot point.
That is a plot point.
That was one of the first miscommunications.
So here's the thing about this show that I think is really interesting. It is a very small, contained show.
That is what I love about it. That we are just in his apartment for most of it.
That really doesn't leave this apartment.
I know.
And so all of the drama, all of the conflict is built around like it's almost like it's so subdued.
Yeah.
That it's almost you would miss being like, oh, the point of the episode was like they have to figure out this problem.
Yes.
And all of the problems do come back to miscommunication.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say miscommunication. I would say non-communication. Yeah. There is no communicating.
No communicida.
Oh, God. I would say this is the most erotic show we've seen. We've seen Only Friends, but like the eroticism in Only Friends is not done in a way where it feels like it's like I'm so drawn to the other person. It's not like romance.
There is so the eroticism in Only Friends, which really is not as much as people
it's
make it out
it's very specific, but they're very much like it's a way to get to something.
It's primal.
Yeah.
It is very like we're men, we have urges, da-da-da.
Yeah.
It's almost transactional in some capacity.
Yeah. There's a means to an end. There's like a result to
this
like
show.
cause and effect. This show is like, it's the closest that I feel like what must it feel like reading.
It's a combination of erotic and sensual.
Yes.
It's based on dominance and submission. So that's part of, I'm assuming this is all pretty pulled straight from the webtoon.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. Great.
Pretty much.
How, just as a curious.
Yeah,
just
sure.
Curiosity.
I can give you the link
Killed
after
the cat.
too. Yeah.
Thank you so much. What's the, how much do you see? Let's say that.
Lightsabers.
Okay. Interesting.
But you see, like, you know, the axe. It pretty much plays out pretty much exactly like what the scenes in the show.
Mm-hmm.
What's nice? Nice. What's interesting about the
so
webtoon?
Sweet.
What's interesting about the webtoon is they show a little bit more of like what he does in the day, and he does. It's like when he knows that he's gonna ask for that, he makes sure that the pipes are clean.
They show that in the
Well,
webtoon?
there's like one panel of like him in the bathroom like squatting, and it's like, I have to clean out today. As like part of his duties, so that he prepares
the
for
obligation.
the obligation when he comes home and may ask for it.
Okay. Let's talk about the non-communication. There are many
Built on this as like the
many rom-coms,
Yeah.
BLs, romance, where the conflict is a miscommunication or a lack of communication. And I know for a lot of people, those shows can get very irritating very quickly because it feels like we're treading water. I do think the show has that problem to some extent because they don't
talk to each other.
Speak to each other.
It's like their whole thing is that they don't actually talk to each other.
It is insane to watch.
Yeah.
I do not have the problem. It doesn't bother me to the point where I can't watch it.
Yeah.
But I really, it is a show where you want to yell
when
at
they
the
start
characters.
when they start to kind of address it, it's like, why? And then they show it. I'm like, well, that's why, girl. He doesn't say anything, and you're analyzing a million things of what it could mean.
Right. This is the second, technically for the purposes of this YouTube channel, this is the second Japan BL that we have watched. The first being Cherry Magic.
Cherry Magic.
So it is kind of insane that both of them are voiceover heavy.
Voiceover heavy. That I'm like, I think
But
this
for
might...
different reasons.
Yes.
Cherry Magic is specifically because he has to hear the voice.
He has to hear the voices.
The thoughts.
But then also it's his character. Like, he doesn't talk also to other people.
He's an introvert. This
These
show,
two,
if there was no voiceover,
we would not know what the fuck is going on.
No spoken word on this show.
I know.
It would be insane.
Would this show work as a play?
I do not think so.
You would need the voiceovers. There are moments that sometimes I think it does. I think just because of the setting. Like, it feels like it's the perfect setting.
Yes.
It's a two-hander, you know.
But oftentimes when people say things when they watch a movie or a TV show and they say, "Oh, it felt very play-like," it's because the scenes are really long and they're very
it's like dialogue heavy. Yeah, there's no dialogue
the
here.
exact opposite of that. I mean,
know.
you could do this and you would just have to do a lot of direct address to the audience, but then I think you lose a lot of the
tension.
Because
then it releases when you say the things.
When Yo talks.
Yeah. Well, okay, so they choose to join this agreement. They knew each other in college. And Yo was very quiet, awkward, silent, and just drew and like was drawn to Mizuki, who was like in the popular group, and like just started drawing him because they were like, damn, take a look at that face.
Take a look at that man that looks like an anime character.
Literally.
Wow,
So
I guess I should draw him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he starts drawing him, and his friends are very like pick a little, talk a little, just like chatty.
They're the bullies.
Yeah. And they're like, oh my God, look at that loner. He's like looking at us. Does he think he wants anything? Blah, 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 blah. They kind of pick on him, but then Mizuki is nice to him. So he like walks for them and gets to know them, like his name or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And basically establish a friendship that like, he doesn't have to pretend or like be on or like be Mizuki. He doesn't have to be someone that people expect him to be when he's with Yo. which you caught on quickly actually when that scene happened, and he was like, I feel like I can be my true self with him.
Yeah, he kind of like okay, so I think all the flashback stuff is really interesting, and I do think that is what elevates the show over
because
just
it's non-linear
general smut.
Yeah,
because the show, if you did not have that, is just general smut.
It's smutty,
and I'm not mad about it, but it does change it to being like, oh,
it's
well,
very
there's a
artsy
reason.
in the smut. Like I think that goes into the sensual part of it.
Well, yeah, I guess we should be clear. There is
it's
no
not gratuitous.
Explicit. Yeah, technically, I think this is rated 15 and up.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think NC-17. I think it's still technically NC-17 on Viki, but they think they do that with everything.
On my drama list, it's 15 plus, but I don't know what that means for my drama list.
Yeah.
Okay. There is not gratuitous, explicit anything that you see.
Yeah.
There's kisses, but even then, there's not a ton. There's maybe four
kisses, but it's more.
Where they kiss.
They choose to do other things, like he'll nibble his ear.
But there is an aura around the show that is, when they are together, there is a possession aspect that is very apparent.
Yes.
And I do wonder how many people maybe started the show and then were turned off by that idea, because this show does not start clearly to tell you, to explain what's going on. You are dropped into the middle of their agreement. They've already lived together for a period of time.
At least 3 months is what he said.
And it seems like Yo is not happy in the situation.
But I think he's just confused. He just doesn't know.
Well, that's what's weird. Is like, I think the show, I think it would be understandable for someone to watch this and come away with an uneasy, like, I don't.
Ooh,
is this bad? Is this like? Is he held hostage? Like, is this? Do you know what I mean? Like,
is he under duress?
Is he not aware of what he was fully agreeing to?
Yes.
Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But that's what's weird is I do think that's part of the show. I do think the agreement is that Yo doesn't fully understand what he was agreeing to, but along the way,
to it,
has learned that he likes it. Even though I don't know if he's at the beginning of the show, he is fully like accepted that about himself.
Yeah.
This is one of those classic shows where like gay doesn't exist. Like it's not.
Yeah.
It's not about that.
There's one moment when they go on a date, like they go outside together, and like there was a moment of like, won't you think people will look at us? And Misaki is like, no.
Well, the one scene that really pissed me off was when they were like, I didn't even believe I could drink boba because I thought it was a woman's drink. And I was like, what are we even doing? What's happening?
Yeah.
It is 2023.
I don't want to give spoilers for The Matrix, but it's very clear the BL Matrix.
Oh, The Matrix. I was like, the film?
Matrix. You're so stupid.
Okay, sorry.
The BL Matrix. But this is definitely the tropes that they're leaning in on these two characters are very much romance tropes for women, like for straight women in like the classic romance novel tropes.
This is one of the classic, like this leans into it's just two men who are in a romance as opposed to it's about gay queer men. Story. Yeah. Which I think are both interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
This show is stunning. Can I say a show that is clearly was not like an expensive production to make. It's contained really easily to just a few sets.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of actors. There's not any like
very intimate
effects. There's not action sequences or anything like that. They are able to like put a lot of care into the crafting of the visual language of this film.
The intimacy, you feel the tension. You feel that Yo is liking this. You feel all of it because they take the time to really like shoot it, color it, edit it in a way that like, ooh, you understand how you could get caught up in all of this and like be persuaded by Mizuki and his presence.
Well, that's what's interesting about the show is that you're watching Yo's
perspective for the most part, yeah.
But you are a passive observer.
Yes.
It's not like you are...
I've noticed this about the JBLs, and I think that's kind of why I really like them. There is a slice of life element where it's like, I'm just watching people live their lives. And I happen to be like, oh, I'm seeing...
You're just like a voyeur into their life.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yes.
They, yeah. The show...
I do think
it's insane.
It's so
to watch.
insane. I know. And I think when we first watched the episodes, it was like, can we actually say the things that we're saying? Because in our reaction, we react. And we had to write it in the disclaimer, like, what we're saying is also just as filthy as what we're watching. So please be warned. If you're not a crude person, if you can't handle a lot of that.
I mean, they are sucking and fucking and sucking and fucking.
And I am going to be
please
very honest.
You know what, we don't
I'm going to be very honest.
We don't have to be.
Mizuki,
we're just legally together. You know what? He has his own agenda.
I would
I want to hide. I should have gotten the other umbrella.
I would absolutely drain this man dry. He would. The sheets would be wet. The mattress. The tatami mats. The couch. The kitchen table. The
kitchen counter.
Yeah.
The bathtub.
Behind the front door. On the washing machine. You know what I'm saying?
Do you get it?
And yeah.
Do you know the whole initial problem could have been solved by owning a dryer?
I know, isn't that crazy?
So the initial problem is that he washes
like,
the sheets every time they have sex, and so
because they only have one pair of sheets.
Which
like what?
I'm sorry. We're adults. So he gets upset because he's like, well, it's annoying.
I have to wash the sheets tomorrow and it's raining.
It's raining, so I can't dry the sheets.
So then Mizuki says we're only fucking on
that's
sunny
not true.
days.
That's not true, Ellen. They have multiple pairs of sheets because they have multiple beds in this house.
They have two beds.
Have two sets of sheets.
Yeah.
They could just sleep together.
They could, but they don't because it's an agreement.
Because they're just helping a pal out.
A
willing hole and a willing mouth.
And when they find out that that's...
Push your little thing back down, please.
Huh? Oh, does it keep... Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Getting excited.
So excited. When they finally do realize, like, oh, that first obstacle they overcome, and they finally talk like, oh, I thought because blah, 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 blah. Because he was like, if it's raining, they're not fucking. And he's like, why the fuck won't he put it in? Why does he only want to do it on sunny days? And Mizuki's like, bitch, because you complained.
You said.
You complained. And what does this diva do? Buys 8 pairs of sheets. And Mizuki is like, oh, I see. And then they ravage one another.
We have to talk about the craziest scene in this entire show.
Yes.
Yo gets fired from his manga artist job.
Because they're like, it's not good. You keep drawing the men
We're
too
supposed
beautiful.
to be drawing... Sorry. The point of your job as an erotic manga artist is that just draw big, bouncy breasts.
Beautiful breasts.
That's the point. The whole point. Just draw 2 big circles and call it a day. That is all we need from you, sir.
And he keeps drawing...
And you keep drawing this chiseled man who has nothing to do with this scene.
This is the one thing that I want to do, like doing, and at this point, the only thing I know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm not even good enough to like keep my job.
Yeah.
So he gets like depressed and is like sick. Won't even drink water.
Mm-hmm.
And basically he's like, drink this water. Oh my God, you're spilling. What the heck? So he drinks the water.
He baby birds him.
And baby birds the water in his mouth. And then he drinks it.
You hear the the
gulps.
sound design of this show is criminal. And I want this sound designer put in prison. You hear him like gulping the water,
Gulp the water
from this other man's mouth and then being like, crazy.
And Misaki was like, oh, okay, now you've drank.
Now you feel better? I'm going to go run you a bath. And then they take a bath together.
And they take a bath together. And the bath is very sweet.
What do you mean? No. We're
It's
not moving
very
past
sweet.
This, no. What do you mean he fed this man water out of his mouth?
I can't even get you to drink a damn emergency. Let alone
Paging Dr. Beat.
let alone have to baby bird you the fucking emergency.
If you were to ever I would divorce you so fast your head would spin. It would actually fall off of your body.
Yeah.
You would have to tie it with a little ribbon around your neck.
Like the woman with the girl the girl with the green ribbon.
Yes, honey. So the back half of the show, his friend finds out that the guy she has been working on mangas with is dating her idol, this weatherman.
It's as if you were like your coworker. All of a sudden you find out that your coworker is actually living with
Mark Packin.
Oh
my God.
And you're like,
I want to make this very clear. If I were to ever find out that someone I work with even knew Mark Packin, I would absolutely, that would be my Joker origin story. I want to make that so clear. So if you know me and you know Mark Packin,
personally know Mark Packin,
we need to start the introduction stat.
Yeah.
Before I too blow up a hospital or something like he does in The Dark Knight.
And this friend would tell Mark, hey, there's this aging old senior that lives in Chicago that
I want to also be clear. RJ's older than I am, and I hate him.
So Miss Manju,
you're a mean person. I want you to know that.
Miss Manju is like, okay, well, this is fucking great. And her episode of her finding out, so cute. She like basically visits him because it's like, oh, you're sick.
She's very good on the show.
She's very fun. She's probably one of my favorite. We see a lot of Fujos in these shows, right? Because it's like this is
Fujo rights.
Yes,
this is one of my favorite Fujos we've seen.
Me too. Me too. Because she is like it's very clear that she's like, I'm such a fan, but it's like, oh no, I'm married. Like, I have a life. I just love watching you too.
Mm-hmm. She writes them. I mean, it's.
And then she actually she literally gets lunch with Yo and was like, I have a proposal. I know you've lost your job, so help me draw webtoon based on you two because I can't.
Not the band.
You both. The story is it's here, and it needs to be expressed and drawn so that other people can appreciate
Sometimes
the yaoi.
Your art just has to come out.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he does, but then doesn't tell Mizuki.
Again, the whole thing of this show is that they do not speak to each other. And I want to be clear, this does not resolve at the end of the show does not resolve with them talking
telling each other. No, it's just like, and that's our relationship.
The only thing they've realized is that they like each other separately.
So they're probably going to continue doing this.
They're just going to not talk, but at least they know that they're stable.
Yeah, the person is
they're going to like each other.
Because like even when he got laid off or like got fired, Mizuki is like, well, I don't care that you don't work. You don't have to. And Yo will take that as like, he doesn't think that I'm good enough of an artist that I can get work.
Right.
So fuck off.
Instead of actually just being like, what do you mean by that? Interpreting them this way.
Yeah.
Girl.
But then you wouldn't have a show if you did have communication.
You wouldn't.
So. But then there's just a series of miscommunications that they think, oh, the other person hates each other, blah, 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 blah.
Gets jealous.
It does come that, like, Mizuki, there's a point where Mizuki has to kind of, like, confess that, like, no, bitch, I like you. That's why I don't want you to see other people or even leave the house.
Can I actually say that I actually liked the end of the show in terms of the show is about this dominant submissive relationship. Mm-hmm. And as the show progresses, you're like, oh, they do like each other. Like, it's more than just this kind of like sexual
possessiveness, yeah.
Right. Sexual need that they're being fulfilled with. There's like something more. They do actually like each other.
Yeah.
Which that's very nice or whatever. And I think a lot of shows would end up just changing their relationship to just be more sweet. But what I thought was clever and like continued the point of the show that we were watching without changing the characters and without whatever, is that he still proclaims his like, but in the way that we have grown him to know how he communicates.
How he would do it, yeah.
And it's like, you will never see another listen, is
It's
this
not
the
great.
relationship I want for myself? No. Would I recommend my best friend have this relationship? Probably not.
Yeah.
But these two people I don't know and don't actually exist, have at
Girl,
it.
I live.
Girl, I'll live.
Yeah.
Any other highlights of this sordid tapestry of
I don't think it's
filth?
big, but I do think that it...
What are you talking about?
I do think it, like, it's just... It always hits the right place. Do you know what I mean?
You're so vile.
That's just the vibe that I get from him.
Okay. I think the casting of this show and these two leads is great.
Oh, yeah.
Because I will tell you what, if there's one thing as I watch this show, it is that I wanted to see that twink obliterated.
I know.
I was like, that is...
Actually, yeah. I would like for you to shut him up. I'm not going to lie.
He was annoying enough that I was like, just shut him up in whatever way you deem necessary. And let me be a
Watch.
casual voyeur to the situation. Yes!
I think on the first watch, I just like immediately in my mind was like, okay, romance trope, so it's fine. It's gonna get tropey. In this second watch, I was like, there's a little bit more like they feel like more like actual real people. Like it's not as stereotypical. I think as the show progresses, I think at the start of the show, it's really like he is so weak and he is like really domineering.
Yeah.
But then they kind of like soften up to the other person a little bit more because they're trying to get something from the other person.
I think I was on board once I realized that Yo is just not honest with himself about the fact that he likes this
he likes him.
relationship.
Yeah. Yes.
Because at first you're like, he's like, oh, I just don't want to be here, blah, blah, blah. And you're like,
But you do.
what's happening?
You like it.
Should
I be worried?
Should I
Do you
be
need to call
concerned?
someone?
Do we need to call your dad? Are you
Yeah.
in a cult? And then once you realize that, then I was like, oh, that's
he just
what we're
hasn't
doing.
accepted that like he likes this. And
Well, because that's like a common thing in. So I've heard from this
dom
type
sub.
of dom sub like media.
Yeah.
Is that it's about like, especially in ones where it's like the beginning of the relationship.
Yes.
There's like the point where you have to like break the sub. I feel like is a common thing.
to be like, oh, I actually like this. Or
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just have to get them to the point where it's like, I trust you fully.
yes.
And
Yep.
that you're not going to hurt me,
Yes.
but you have to like give in to
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah.
I get what, I mean, I on paper, I understand why people are into this stuff.
Yeah. As someone who always like keeps thinking about like a million things, I would not be able to just fully relinquish.
Well, RJ is one break away from being Yo in this show. He is so
But that's
close.
what I mean. The fantasy, I think, is there. I don't
I
think I
think
would
you're
actually.
the person who has to go through the breaking, and then you're like, no, I get it.
Actually,
I can't.
you know what?
I can't
Yeah, I can't
relinquish.
actually relinquish. So, I guess I'm moving to Japan, honey.
Honey.
I gotta find myself a weatherman, a meteorologist. Shout out to the weather woman
Yeah.
with the heaving breasts, honey. They were always just pushed
Speaking
out.
of big
Honey.
bouncy breasts.
Yeah. Good for her. And she had like the mousiest bob and like the biggest eyes.
Yes.
Shout out to her.
Essential casting.
Yes.
Mhm.
Great cast. Yeah, I mean, I just have a soft spot for JBLs, and this is the one where this is the most erotic and sensual that I've seen out of all of the JBLs because the ones that I watch are usually more like fluffy. Like I love Our Dining Table because it's just
boys. Just about a dining.
It's just about
well, there was a dining table here.
That's true. That's true.
Wet. The protagonist is supposed to change. What do you think Yo learns and changes in this show?
That this relationship there is love in this relationship.
That it's more than just this.
It's not an agreement. It's an actual relationship. That they actually love each other.
Okay.
And this is just how they show it.
Great.
So it's that self-realization.
Yeah.
I do think Yo is the protagonist.
Oh, fully. Although I really do like in the back half, in that last couple episodes when they switch point of views.
Totally. I like that
a lot. And I actually I always love when you get a flashback of two people in a conversation and then you flash to the other perspective.
Yes, I know. I really like that.
It always works. I don't know how to explain it. It's like getting an Easter egg in a show. I love it so much.
Because in the flashbacks of college, when it started out just as Yo, it was like, oh, look at the cool, popular kid noticing the loner, right? And it's like he thinks it's like cute. But then you go to Mizuki's perspective, and he's just as alone. He feels just as lonely.
Well, yeah, and it's not. They do not. This is not like a. There is no kind of idealization of the way they came together. There is no like, oh, I saw him too from across the room and we all locked eyes and I thought he was so cute. Like, he starts to show by being like, why is this weirdo staring at me in the cafeteria? What's happening? And I did like that aspect, that it was like, oh, they did just kind of find each other, but it's not a fairy tale, the show. I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, in that flashback where he realizes that, like, I don't have to pretend when I'm with him, was in our reaction, we were like, oh, that's him realizing that, like, his true self is being able to, like, be Dom.
Yeah. Congrats.
So, congratulations. And, you know, if anyone else needs help coming to that conclusion, I'm sure I can find someone that could help.
Okay. Well, we have a couple things we do.
Yes.
So, where would you rate this on the list of... Do we do Matrix first?
We do tier first.
We do tiers, okay. So we have our tiers. We have...
What are Twice fans called?
Once. How many times I would watch this. There is...
I ain't reading all that.
Sorry, or whatever.
Congratulations. So sorry that happened to you.
And then there
Complicated
is...
Fave.
Complicated Fave. And then there is Keeping in Syndication. And then there is...
I wish I could scrub my memory so I could
rewatch this again.
Okay, I'm curious. I want you to go first because I think you know where mine is.
I would put...
Because is the... I wouldn't say off-putting, but, you know, the ask that, like, you're watching a dom-sub relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Is that too complicated? That it would make it a complicated fave? That it's like you can't get past it?
I would only put it in complicated fave because I don't...
It's not a cup. It's not
I'm probably
everyone's
never going to watch this again. That's probably why I would put it there. Is this going to be our first one where we disagree? I don't know what we do now.
Yeah, I know. I personally would put it in syndication just because I think the styling of it, the episode length, but I think the styling of the episodes it's a very smooth watch.
You can sell me on syndication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I really love the way they shoot it. And
I think it's really well crafted. I think it's really well told. I think it's very clear. I think it doesn't overstay its welcome. No. I think it is paced pretty well. I think, like, the drama is really small and contained, but I think that it's to the benefit of the show.
It's so believable that it feels like, oh, this is appropriate in these people's lives and where they're at.
Yeah. I think the narrative is really clear and understanding. Maybe not at the beginning, but, like, we are in a format where we watch it week by week.
Yes.
So we do not... This is a binge show.
It's a binge show. And I will say the opening where it does kind of start you in a pretty cold place, in the dark. I think I had an appreciation of it rewatching it, knowing obviously where it kind of
it's gonna go.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Okay, this Matrix, Mamar.
So we've got queer versus straight, and by that I mean who it's made for.
Who it's made for, the audience, the intended audience. And I think it's for straight.
It's Yes. It is one of the most made for straight women I've ever seen.
I think just truly from that, it is leaning in on the romance, like classic romance tropes.
Yeah. This is just 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
And then
with weather.
Plot or character?
Character,
for sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say super character driven, but definitely in the character zone.
Yeah. Deep in there.
Halfway.
A little past half, I think.
Okay.
They are just so not budging of who they are and like what they believe in.
Yeah, they're very
staunch.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing is, as a sub, you really can't be.
Yeah.
That's the trouble.
Yeah.
So hope it works out for them, I guess.
I hope they're very happy. The best part about these two actors is when they were doing their promotions for their show for Gaga Ooh La La, and the actor that plays Yo could not say Gaga Ooh La La Des. Yeah. He kept adding a third, Gaga Ooh La 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 Des.
Mm-hmm.
And it brings me so much joy. I watch because they just think it's so funny, and they're like, I don't know why I can't do it.
I think they both do a very good job on this show. Who is your MVP of the show?
I think it's Mizuki. I don't know. I think I will say I'm going to give it to Mizuki. I do wish that the persona as the weatherman is a little bit more brighter. Mm-hmm. So that way
there's a clear distinction.
Because the only
putting on the mask,
taking off the mask. The distinction for me only appeared when Manju came into the picture. And he basically turned it on for her when she was in the house.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give it to Mizuki because as an audience, I was like, ooh, I will. Yes, sir.
I'm going to feel bad because I'm not giving it to Yo. I am going to give it to Manju.
Oh, yeah.
Because I like every single choice she made.
Every choice that actress made was great.
Every single choice.
From the quick cutaways, talking to herself, and then even the real moments where she's like, no, I understand.
And also the show is not funny. There are funny moments, but she is the only character that is allowed to be full funny, full comedic.
Yeah.
And she plays it so well. It's so good. And I do think because this is based on a manga, there are parts of the show where I can see the panels in my mind's eye, which I think is really cool. And I always do like that when I can feel like I'm
visualize. They're able to do the shots. Cherry Magic, that, because even we watched the anime and we were able to kind of see the visual. And I think I don't know, just comedy is so visual.
Yeah,
sometimes
totally.
You just have to kind of it pays off.
Yeah,
really
the funniest thing about comedy is when you explain it too.
Oh yeah, and you love doing that.
I love explaining comedy.
Okay, so the poll is up for our new show.
It is.
We are doing something different. We're going to give them choices. Because we heard the feedback from the rest of the Bobs, and they were like,
we can't do open.
We can't just do open.
We got to close off this relationship. Your thing is coming up again.
Oh my God. Mizuki.
Oh my God.
Just so excited. Yeah, they want a this or that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to give them a few thises or that's.
There's a this and a that and the other and those and these. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but it's still open, right? We don't have to go from department to department. It can be anything.
So let's see what the options are.
Yes.
Join us at patreon.com/boyslove. Join the Bob level.
Yes.
Take a vote this week.
Yeah.
Let your voice be heard. Tell us what to watch. Tell us what we should do a series recap of at the end. We'll see you up there.
Yeah. Stay dry or wet.